Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to QBSN, the podcast, episode 16. Shout out Trent for taking over the last two. Stepped up in a huge way. Shout out Trent and Andrew Goodness behind the desk, making it happen. Producer, audio, can't do it without him. Now, we're talking softball today. Softball on a heater off to the best start in program history. Now, 14-8, 10-1 in the MAAC, undefeated at home, and 7-8 on the road.
Yes.
All right. So, talk to me, beat reporter.
Yes.
What's working for them right now?
I mean, they're dominating right now. They haven't been like this in forever. I know they lost in the first round of the MAAC tournament last year. They haven't made the MAAC tournament in, God knows how many years. And, the offense is finally here. They have multiple, run-digit totals throughout the season, beating Iona, which is one of the good teams in the MAAC right now. But then they've also had MAAC and, MAAC this past weekend, sweeping them. Pitching is also here. You have sort of 3 new pitchers, but technically only 2 new pitchers. We have Shannon Kendall, who's a sophomore, 29 strikeouts on the season so far. Laney Addy also coming in relief sometimes, pitching that second game, 21 strikeouts. I mean, that's huge. Having over 20 strikeouts in your freshman season is great.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head, Olivia. I put offense right on my doc right away,
Yeah.
But they have the highest batting average in the MAAC. They're hitting .327, second best on-base percentage at .385, only to Marist. And they have the least amount of strikeouts in the league, and they're at 56 strikeouts. More than half the league's over 120. So they have over, the half as less strikeouts as the rest of the league.
Yeah, they also swept Niagara at home a few days before, because the MAAC game was on Tuesday. But it's honestly, they've showed up. Between beat reporting my freshman year and to now, I've seen that little bit of progress. They've also brought in new coaches, which I'm super excited to talk about because it's huge.
Yeah, let's
it's
talk
huge.
about it.
Yeah,
Zen
of course.
Penny, new assistant coach. That was a big move in the offseason. Now, former Arizona Diamondbacks hitting coach. My question when I first heard it was, why Quinnipiac University softball? I didn't understand the transition. So have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Hillary Smith said it's been huge. She had to do a little bit of convincing for him to, leave baseball, which is, the sport he's played his entire life, to come coach softball in Connecticut. In, a mid-major conference in the MAAC. And, he comes from, the baseball background. Arizona Diamondbacks was in the minor leagues for a little bit. He has made multiple players hit over 400 on the season so far, which is crazy in itself. He has just come here to play. Multiple players have even said, he's made an impact. He is, player-specific, programs in how to help them hit better and stuff like that. I've seen videos on, Instagram and stuff. I've seen them on campus, hitting and stuff like that. He really goes into depth, and he wants those players to succeed, which is, I think, part of the reason why they're winning so many games and that they're 10-1 in MAAC play so far.
Yeah, as you mentioned with the batting averages, they have 6 players that are hitting over 300. And to build off of last season, but this is Zen Penny's...
Sophia Vega hitting 446.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy.
Insane. And she recently picked up her career 100th hit, so congratulations to her.
It's huge.
But to build upon what he's done, or this year, based off of last year, he was not here last year. The Bobcats were hitting 232 last year. I said in the open they're hitting 327. So they're hitting a lot better than last season. Last season they had the second worst slugging percentage. This season they're towards the top. And then they had over 200 strikeouts, which they're only at 56 right now, or right around the midpoint of the season. Mm-hmm. So this Bobcats offense has improved greatly since last season.
Yeah, of course. They also brought in a former QU catcher in Hannah Davis. She graduated after my freshman year, so 2023. Or, well, technically 2024, if you want to, go into technicality with that stuff. She was huge. She was here for her grad year as well. just bringing in an alum who's played these teams before and played the possible players that are on these rosters brings in a lot because you have that insight, and of course you want to beat them. So having that information is crucial, and, they'll succeed because of that.
I think it also helps someone so Zen Penny's coming in, then Hannah Davis, they're both coming in at the same time. The two of them can kind of bond where Hannah, who's been here for 5 years, can show him the ropes. And just outside of what teaching softball is, just being able to tell him oh, here's some of the local food spots, or here's a thing to do here or there. It's a good camaraderie you can have. Mm-hmm. And you might not get that. Well, maybe, I guess, I'm not too certain, between assistant or hitting coach and the head coach, but between Davis and Penny, I think you can get a lot of that interpersonal connection. Yeah. And she has also been a former player, as you mentioned, so she can connect with some of the more senior, junior, senior level players, and she really knows the program and eats, sleeps, and breathes the program. So having someone like that is a really good add, especially since she's not far away from being a part of this program as a player, and now she's a coach.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Also, I've heard from Hillary Smith, Zen Penny also will literally, in film, go down the rabbit hole and find the littlest things to want to fix. That's how, in a coach, that's what I would want to have as a player, because that he really cares. He wants to see this team succeed. He's definitely looked at stuff from last year and years before and saw sort of the downfall, and he wants to bring that all the way back up.
Yeah, and that's the baseball hitting coach in him.
Of course.
And I know softball and baseball, the hitting's a little different. The bats are shaped a little different.
The pitching wind-ups and all that.
Most definitely. But a lot of the key mechanics and the torque of the body is the same in both sports. Right. And being with the Diamondbacks and having access to all that technology, which unfortunately doesn't have that same access here at Quinnipiac, but having access to that in low A ball is really beneficial, and he knows what to look for, where to look for, oh, we're hitting the ball right underneath it or right on top, we want to hit more through the middle, we want to get this a little bit more launch angle. Might not be the same in softball, but it's definitely those mechanical tweaks from his background has really helped here with these Bobcat program.
Absolutely. Now, we've talked about the awesome start, 14-8 overall, but 10-1 in the MAAC. Do you think they can keep it up?
I mean, yes, but no, because sometimes you have to fall at some point. You always can't stay hot. They play Ryder on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. They lost to them in the first round of the MAAC tournament. Of course they want that revenge, and they want to sweep. Of course. I would want to do that too, especially after losing to them. I feel like they could take maybe 2 out of 3. But, you're going to have to play that Maris team, who's also ranked in the top 25 in mid-major last year. And they have Joe Asanio, who was a former Yankee. You got a former baseball coach, Zen Penny. Right. Former, Yankee player, major league player. Of course it's going to be hard. So I feel like, they can. I don't think they're going to go 14-11 again. But they're gonna have to lose a couple more games because you're gonna play those top teams in the MAAC, and you gotta play them at some point.
Right.
I think the offense is gonna continue. I think they're gonna continue to hit, and I think they've kind of really blossomed over the past week or so with the offense.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the games that happened a few days ago, and they were it was a doubleheader where they're two different games, essentially. It couldn't be more different. But I think the offense is going to continue to hit. I think one thing the Bobcats need to improve on is pitching.
That's
and I think the team ERA, as of right now, they're pitching just over a 6 ERA, which is 10th in the MAAC. There's 13 teams in the MAAC, so being towards the bottom half in ERA and being the record they have right now is a testament to how good their offense is. Right. But I think they greatly need to improve or make little strides for the ERA. Last season, they had a 3.27 ERA, which was 4th best in the MAAC. They've significantly decreased so far this season, so I think pitching's going to need to pick it up if they want to continue to have this success.
Yeah, they also relied on basically 2 pitchers last year, in Sydney Horan and Jackie Gonzalez. And I know that was definitely, huge to lose them because they graduated. I know Sydney Horan basically pitched almost every single game last year, and she definitely got tired at some point, and we sort of saw it because, the strikeout totals were a little low and stuff like that. But now they have 3 fresh pitchers in, Shannon Kendall, Jasmine Klein, Lainey Addy, who are doing amazing so far. Lainey Addy in her freshman season has looked great. Like I said, 21 strikeouts is huge. And, it's honestly great. Jasmine Klein, she's getting there a little bit. I know she had a rough game against MAAC in game 2 on Tuesday. She has an ERA of 11.42. It's going to go down at some point, but you always in your freshman season, first season, it's not always going to go great. You have to, start from the bottom and then get yourself up once you get used to, playing these teams.
Right. Now, Tuesday versus MAAC.
Yes.
3-2 win in game 1.
Yes.
And 11-7 in game 2. Like you mentioned, very different. So, what was the difference in those games?
I mean, they went to extras in game 1. And then Sofia Vega hits a walk-off doubled, which was huge. Sofia Vega herself has been huge this year. Like you said earlier, Tim. 100 career hits she reached. She's a senior. She's been great playing third base. I mean, it's been great. The game 2, they just they came out swinging.
Yeah. Quickly going back to game 1,
Yeah.
I'd say the big difference is that they never trailed. Like the Bobcats were up 2-0, and that's definitely something that matters. Like if you're winning the majority of a game, even if it's 1 run or 2 run, which the Bobcats were winning 2-0 until like the 5th inning where MAAC scored their first run, and then they scored their second one to tie it at 2-2 in the 6th. But if you're winning the game for majority that long, like you have, I'm not going to say like momentum, but it's definitely like a little bit like in your favor. And you kind of like get used to like, okay, like we're winning, like let's keep it up, let's keep going. While like the other dugout's like, oh shoot, like we need to start like picking it up and then scoring. So that definitely helps like mentally. And then as you mentioned, Olivia, they won in extra innings. They won 3-2. But yeah, the second game, the Bobcats were trailing early. They were chasing a 4-0 MAAC lead, which was then a 5-1 MAAC lead, turned to a 7-3 MAAC lead, top of the 5th. And then bottom of the 5th happened. And
Bottom of the 5th happened.
you want to take that there.
Oh, my. Bottom of the 5th definitely happened. They just, they came out. I mean, it was great. They ended it with a huge play from Kinsley Cox at second. She kind of like dove out for it, caught it. Then I would have just sat there for a second, realizing I caught it. She immediately shot up, boom, double play. And if that's how you end a big game, that's how you end a big game. Come on now.
That's just being like ready. Like whether it's baseball or softball, like you need to mentally know these people are on base. This person who's hitting's fast, or this person who's hitting, like the speed of the runner.
That's a strategy.
The speed of the base runners. You need to have like a mental clock. Like if I catch this ball, I immediately got to throw it. Or if I catch this runner might be too far off first base. I got to throw it back. As you were saying, like most of us would have caught it and be like, oh, look at that. Look what's in my glove. Like, oh, nice. And I didn't like totally hurt myself diving for this, but like it's in the moment, the adrenaline's up.
Oh,
you catch the ball, you throw it, and then you'll see like a player be like, oh, I got a scrape on my elbow. Oh, okay. And then like they'll be like, but did you see that play? So it's just
of course.
the internal clock. But yeah, the Bobcats were down 7-3, and then they score 5 in the bottom of the 5th, and then take a lead, and then they ended up adding 2 more in the 6th to cap off a comeback 11-7 victory and
Comeback wins are huge.
And sweep the doubleheader, especially at home. You got to get those home wins in. And especially as a Bobcat team that's 5-0 at home in the early going, and they're 7-8 away, which isn't terrible. Like if you can play good not baseball, my bad. Good softball, sorry. You can play a good game at home.
Of course.
And then do somewhat well on the road, like that's a testament of a good team.
Now, talking about those doubleheaders and weekend series, do you think that's beneficial for teams to have back-to-back games, 1 at 2, 1 at 4, or 2 on Saturday, 1 Sunday?
So, as a sort of former softball player myself, I played on the club team here my freshman year at Quinnipiac. We've had triple headers in one day, and it's quite exhausting. I would say, as a softball player, it honestly depends on how you're feeling. because you could work hard game 1, play all 7, and then just be exhausted for the next 7. They get that sort of 30 to 45-ish minutes of rest, but it just honestly depends because, you could do so good and have that adrenaline, vibes are high. You just want to start game 2.
Right.
You could also work hard in game 1, exhaust yourself, and not play the best in game 2 when it really matters.
I think it also matters on the weather.
Exactly.
If it is 40 degrees out and the wind is coming off the sleeping giant at 20 miles an hour, it could be miserable. You get through game 1, win or lose, okay, I got through game 1. Especially, if you lose, it's going to stink to go to that game 2. But it all depends on the weather, and obviously the opposite end of the spectrum. It could be 90 degrees out, and you could be drinking 5 Gatorades in a matter of those 2 games.
Yeah.
But to go into the stats on the Bobcats and doubleheaders, they've had 5 doubleheaders, so 2 games in 1 day. So far this season, they have swept 3 of them, meaning they won both.
It's huge.
They lost 1, and then they split 1, so each team won. So they lost a doubleheader to BU on the road, so at a conference team playing up. Yep. And then they split 1 with Iona, which was a 3-game set. They split the doubleheader, and then they won the game 3 of that series. So they won 2 out of 3.
Huge.
But
Iona's huge.
They've been really successful in these doubleheaders so far this season.
Yeah, it honestly goes to show that rest is important because you either rest, you can get treatment from the athletic trainer, talk about the game and what you want to improve on, maybe watch a little bit of film. Who really knows what they do in between those games? But I feel like here or there it could be beneficial.
Yeah. Now, who is a player that you didn't expect to be making as big of an impact this year?
So I'm going to go Kinsley Cox. She's started every single game at second, been amazing. She's currently batting .338. Her OPS is .753. As a first year, that's great because you're making an immediate impact. You're showing that you're that starter. She also has 6 RBIs on the season. That's still great as well. I mean, Sophia Vega has 14, but Sophia Vega's a senior. A freshman having those good stats right now is huge because, like I just said, it's huge. You show you're a starter.
Yeah.
And, you come from the West Coast in California. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Kennedy DeMott and Kinsley Cox are from the same town, went to the same high school. So I see that they've probably played high school softball together, maybe club, maybe other, softball teams. So it's also huge that, you get that similar, we've played together connection. But overall, Kinsley Cox has 22 hits on the season as well, which is also huge. She's been great, making some amazing plays, like some diving plays. She's just been there. She's been softball ready.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned Kennedy DeMott because that's my player who I didn't expect to have a big of an impact. So we're both going with the 2 women from California. But, yeah, DeMott has been incredible. This past weekend against Niagara in their doubleheader, she had 10 RBIs.
That's huge.
In the second game alone, she hit 2 different 3-run homers, which is that's like game of your life. And I know it's a Niagara team who hasn't had too much success, but you play your schedule. But, yeah, as of this year, she's hitting .343, DeMott is, with 3 home runs, 16 RBIs, and a .999 OPS. Last season, she only hit .260, still had 3 homers, 10 RBIs. She already has more RBIs than she had last season, courtesy most of those from this past weekend.
The 10 RBI game and 2 home runs.
And then her OPS was a 751. So the OPS has gone up by almost 250 points, and the batting average has gone up by about 80. That is incredible, and I think we can rely some of that on a little bit more playing time and Zen Penny.
Exactly. She's split playing time between herself and Riley Potter, who's been the DP this entire season. Riley Potter's been doing great as well, sort of, being that bat that somebody can rely on. But I totally agree with you on Kennedy DeMott. She's been stepping it up behind the dish almost every single game of this season, if not every single game of this season. Yeah. She said in a presser, I want that gear on. She doesn't like sitting around. No. She wants to be in the action playing. She wants to help out her team. That's how you know she's a committed player.
As a catcher, that's what you want to do. You're like the field general. So you know what the pitchers throw, what they like to throw. You're the person who has that. They call it a battery, or like that connection you have with the whole pitching staff, and you have to if there's a big difference between the catcher you're used to and sometimes the one you're not used to. They try to tell you in Major League Baseball nowadays, oh, well, that doesn't matter too much. It matters, the relationship you have and just kind of being on that same space. But as a catcher, it's tough, but you want to suit up every single day. Unless you have an injury, you want to put that gear on.
Of course, and in a presser, Hillary Smith even says she's played with broken hands, broken fingers. I'm like, that's a real player. That is a real player.
Yeah. And catcher, that's the best position. You're involved in every play.
Of course.
Now, looking down the line, how do you think this weekend series versus Ryder will go? 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday.
Yeah, like I said earlier, they could take 2 of 3. It's going to be tough because some of the players that played in that first round of the MAAC last year came back. They're still here. I know last year, I believe they won 2 of 3 or they swept all of them at home. But like I said, losing in that first round is, a little heartbreaking, especially after that 14-11 season in conference play. They had Kendra Rada Facial, who is also back this year. She's going to be huge for them. Fallon Stokel in the outfield has been great for them as well. I feel like it's going to be tough. They're traveling to Lawrenceville, New Jersey. They're on the campus of Ryder. It's going to be tough.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, Rhea Facial is actually the Jersey Mike's MAAC Player of the Week from this past week. And I'm just going to read a little snippet from the MAAC article. Rhea Facial was dominant at the plate, 3-1 week over the Bronx. Junior hit .467, so that's 7 for 15 with 9 RBIs. So she had a pretty dominant past week, was named the MAAC Player of the Week. So it's definitely a name to watch out for. And besides Quinnipiac's on a 6-game win streak right now. Ryder is the second hottest team in the MAAC. They're on a 4-game win streak. They took 2 games against Army, and they took 2 games against Niagara. And those games against Niagara, they outscored them 26-5.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's going to be a tough one.
I don't think it's going to be tough. And I don't think Niagara has won a game, at all. I was looking at the stats earlier. They're 0-15 right now.
Yeah.
It's
kind of like women's basketball, Niagara.
Yes.
Completely defeated.
Completely defeated.
Unfortunate for their program there, but
very unfortunate.
Poor Niagara. Well, who do you think on the opposite end of the spectrum? Who do you think will be their toughest matchup in MAAC play?
I'll say Marist. Marist automatically. Marist was ranked top 25 in mid-major polls. They have, like I said, Joe Osanio, their head coach, former Yankee. He knows what he's doing. Came to softball, wanted to coach. He knows what he's doing. They have multiple players that, have come back as well. And they're going to play Marist at home again. So playing at home is huge because you have your home fans, home crowd, your family. Players have said, having my family here is great because they've come out to support. Some from California, some from locally here in Connecticut. Yeah. They're committed. They want to see, their daughter, win. They want to see the team win. So Marist is just going to be tough. They're tied in the MAAC with Quinnipiac right now. And, it's going to be tough. 2 of the top teams currently. We'll see how that fares with the Ryder series.
Who has Marist lost to?
Marist lost to St. Peter's.
Really?
St. Peter, yeah. Well, St. Peter's is one of the worst teams in the MAAC right now. I don't know how they lost to St. Peter's when they've been ranked top 25 in the mid-major polls. Yeah. But, like we said earlier, sometimes you could fall apart. There's going to be that away, yeah. Of course, there's going to be that one time you fall apart.
Now, do you think they can pick up a win against Marist?
I can see them picking up a win. It's going to be a tough win. I feel like they're going to go the full 7. But I think I could see them picking up a win because lately they've been hot. And, Zen Penny and the coaching staff, they're going to go down that rabbit hole
I'm sure,
and watch film from games before and fix whatever they can because I know they want to aim for the sweep. But I feel like they could win at least one.
I think they will, and as you mentioned, Marist is tied with Quinnipiac. They're 9-1 in the MAAC with the 1 loss to St. Peter's. They're 5-1 at home and a very impressive 8-3 on the road. So that has been the big difference for them this season. And Marist is the only team that's top 5 in the MAAC in both batting average and ERA. They're third best in batting average, hitting .303, fifth best in ERA with a .457. So I would definitely watch out for Marist, and I think they're the hardest competition for the Bobcats right now, and very fitting that they're tied for the top of the division.
Yeah, and I could possibly still see them being tied top in the division coming into that series here in Hampton.
Now, looking down the line again, end of the season, where do you see them? If you had to rank them right now in MAAC play, where do you see them?
Preseason poll saw them at 7th. I would see them top 3, top 5. Because they're starting off hot, but they're going to lose a couple more games. It's going to be tough against Marist. It's going to be possibly tough against Fairfield. But I see that real threat is Marist. But I see them top 3, top 5 right now.
Yeah, I put them in the same spot, like preseason voted 7th. I put them 3rd or 4th. Right now they're tied for 1st. They still have series up against Marist, whose Marist is tied with them right now, as we just mentioned.
Yes.
They still have to play Sacred Heart, Manhattan a little bit. So they still have some tougher matchups to play. And then they have some that are a little bit more towards the bottom of the conference, but they still do have those matchups where they need to like prove that like, hey, we're here and we belong with this season.
Yeah, and that we don't belong at the bottom.
Right.
We belong at the top because they're gonna get there. I believe in them. I've seen them at their worst, and I'd like to see them at their best, and I feel like they're gonna be at their best.
Well, they've done it so far, 10-1 in MAAC play, and hopefully they can keep it up. And thank you guys so much. This is another awesome episode. Shout out Goodness and Trent doing all the hard work behind the scenes. We appreciate you so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into episode 16. Peace.